You Are Peter Shorts is a Castleroid by AndyDev about being Peter Shorts, a funny looking guy who gets kidnapped and cloned by a secret government agency for his extremely simple DNA. I've been lurking in AndyDev's Discord for about a year now just to keep an eye on development of Peter Shorts. What started as a fairly simple looking Vania with a power copy gimmick blossomed into a full fighting adventure game following the addition of what was supposed to be a cute little versus mode. Initially the only Peters with full movesets were the ones playable in story mode, but eventually full movesets were developed for all 25 Peters. This of course ballooned dev time, which is why it took over a year after the announcement trailer for Peter to be unleashed upon the unsuspecting masses. I love action games, but if there are two subgenres that don't really fall under my purview, they're 2D precision platformers and fighting games, and Peter Shorts is both. That is to say, Peter kicked my fucking ass. I tried to play this game while inebriated on toxins, and I quickly realized that wasn't an option. The platforming wants a lot more out of the player than AndyDev's previous game, Trespassers, which is not at all what I expected out of Peter. The combat arenas are a lot of fun but extremely hectic. Every Peter makes the same hurt sound, which is funny, but it also makes combat harder to follow. With so many overlapping hitboxes, it can be hard to tell whether my Peter is the one getting his shit rocked. The baseline Peter isn't very agile, and his hitboxes are pretty small, which makes combat even more punishing until you unlock more forms of Peter and explore more zones. Every area has its own platforming gimmick. The lab has swings that let you jump real fucking high, the wind farm has giant fans that send you all over the screen, and the weapons depot has Peter missile launchers that launch Peter missiles. These are my favorite. They're still a challenge to navigate, but I had an easier time with them than the others. They're fun to ride, and I love Falcon up-airing them to solve puzzles. Yeah, that's where the fighting game comes in. Every Peter has 6 moves, an up, a down, and a neutral, each for grounded and aerial moves. He doesn't get side moves because he doesn't have arms. From top to bottom, his up air is a big backflip kick like Captain Falcon or Mario. His nair is a pretty basic sex kick without any sweet or sour spots. His dare is a big two-legged stomp. His up tilt is a reverse upward half-moon heel kick like Fox's. His neutral is a charging headbutt, and his down tilt, like all Peters, is a throw that you can aim to set up combos. This is just the baseline Peter moveset. Others get more technical and weirder, but it's a good foundation to introduce the combat to the player. Getting a hang of combat is by far the biggest hurdle to making the game easier on yourself, but after you get used to Peter's physics and unlock a couple extra Peters, you'll have a much nicer time exploring. Most of my deaths were caused by skill issues, but there are a couple bits of platforming, especially ones involving propellers, that I'm not confident in playing. There's a diskette or two that I collected in ways I don't think I could recreate. There's one on the ice zone specifically that you're supposed to access with a secret move, but I got it just by throwing myself at it until it worked. Unlike Trespassers, which has nice, quick, snappy movement, Peter takes his time. He'll reach max speed when he's good and ready, and his jumps rise and fall slowly. It takes a minute to get used to, but the floatiness gives you the opportunity to correct small mistakes as long as you don't get your shit rocked by a spike ball. The sluggish movement might be a boon to versus mode, facilitating combos and shit. It's a fully featured mode with over 20 stages and 25 Peters to choose from, but I didn't really play it because I don't really have any friends who are into Peter. You can pick up to 5 Peter forms each to swap between on the fly and make some crazy combos, but again, I've never really been into fighters, so I didn't lab anything. Also, unlike Trespassers, there aren't a ton of secrets in Peter Shorts. At least there aren't as many secrets that I found. Maybe they're too secret for me. I said there were secret moves earlier, but they're not really hidden, and once you found one, you'll probably guess that there's one for each Alter Pigo, the powerful primary Peters whose perks Peter purloins post-pummeling. As far as I can tell, there's at least one secret move that's required to beat the game, but as much as I love Vanias, I'm not actually that good at them, so maybe someone smarter than me figured out a way to progress that I didn't. Not to say there are no secrets, there are still a few to find, but Peter's secrets don't feel as prevalent or substantial as Andy's previous work. As always with AndyDev, the art style and music are excellent. Every Peter clone has the same face, but I like that designs can't seem to decide how much is mustache and how much is mouth. A decent amount of your potential enjoyment is dependent on whether or not you think Peter has a funny shape and face, and I think he does. My favorite Peter is the P-Tiger, proper name Sabertooth Peger. It's just a big kitty with a funny face. Look at him. Every area has a unique color scheme and tile set, so you should always know where you are, even if you're hopping around the post-game fast travel events. And their themes are all bangers too. If there's one thing to look forward to any given AndyDev game for, it's the soundtrack. Like Trespassers, Peter has a nice mix of slow, dour music next to quick, peppy tracks. Overall, I like Peter Shorts. I don't think it's quite as good as Trespassers, which I loved a lot, but when I played Trespassers it had the benefit of a few months worth of patches and updates, and it seems like AndyDev is currently working on patching Peter into the best version of himself he can be. I won't pretend it's a virtue to not lab. I don't want to be one of those guys like, I don't play video games to do homework. I love doing homework on video games. I do homework on video games all the time. The video you're watching right now is me doing homework on video games.